like clock. I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Alright guys, this episode was absolutely amazing. I mean, overall, it was just a very, very good episode. Animation and art, it was pretty much the best that we could possibly ask for. Now, one thing that we have already known about the Boruto anime is when it comes time to adapt the big manga fights, they do it in a very good way. The same thing happened in this episode right here. It wasn't necessarily the exact same thing from the Boruto manga. Now, in this episode right here, Boruto was the star. Of course, we do know that we did get some very huge contributions from the rest of Team 7, but at the end of the episode, Boruto was the actual star. Now, I don't necessarily want to jump completely to the end, so I want to start off with the initial plan. Real quick, I'm going to bite off what Boruto said at the end of the episode. The initial plan was a lot of hidden messages, hidden in a lot of messages, hidden in even more messages.
What?
It was just a whole bunch of things that were supposed to get Ao thinking, and of course, that's exactly what they did. The first thing was they planned to catch Ao off guard. Now, as one Team 7 member, of course, spamming a bunch of jutsus, understand that Ao was going to absorb those jutsus. Then another Team 7 member came in and then tried to attack Ao from the blind side, and of course they did that for a couple of times, and then all three of them attacked Ao, and then Boruto came out of nowhere. Now, this right here is a plan that we've seen countless times. It's not anything too special, and of course I wouldn't necessarily be giving the anime a lot of credit just for this, but because we've seen this plan so many times, it made the actual plan seem a lot better. Now, of course, that wasn't the real plan. Of course, they wanted Boruto to catch Ao off guard. If he would have actually caught Ao off guard and actually injured Ao, that would have been great, but that wasn't the plan. They dropped the lightsaber, and the main drawback from the lightsaber is that it draws a lot of chakra. Ao picks up the lightsaber, not understand, just using all these scientific tech all willy-nilly, and of course it basically burned Ao. After that, they've destroyed the jutsu absorbing technology from Ao. That right there, in my opinion, was like one of the best plans I've seen in Boruto thus far. Absolutely impeccable. Now, directly after that, we've seen something that we didn't really get to see in the Boruto manga. This right here took me off guard, and I'm pretty sure it took a lot of you guys off guard as well. Ao's trump card was pretty much the ninja tech that was flying up in the air, this disc that were firing off a bunch of jutsus. Now, in my opinion, of course, I like scientific technology, so I'm not necessarily going to be too critical of things like this, especially in this type of situation where they're fighting against a character like Ao, who reasonably can't necessarily do a lot of things that he once did back in the past. But regardless, this right here definitely took me off guard. These ninja techs right here actually made it possible for Ao and Boruto to pretty much have a 1v1 fight. And to be honest, it's really just surprising to see how far ninja tech actually came. If you guys do recall, back when we were at episode 55, episode 56, Boruto was actually in the tuning exam. Literally, no one could have ever imagined this level of scientific technology. The only scientific technology we had back then was, of course, tiny scrolls that you could just summon singular jutsu from. And for an outsider of the Kata organization to have this level of ninja technology, it just makes me wonder what level of technology the insiders can actually use. But during the final battle, we finally got to see Boruto shine. I'm not necessarily going to say that Boruto throughout a lot of the series of Boruto was completely trash or anything, but I do have to point out, from like episode 1 of Boruto to like episode 50 of Boruto, that level of Boruto, the character of Boruto, was on a different level from everybody else. And because in the tuning exam of the movie, they basically portrayed Boruto as this low level ninja, they actually had to revert Boruto back to that level. Now, I don't necessarily want to say he was completely nerfed, but you guys get the point. For example, back when Naruto was in the academy, he aced pretty much all of his tests without studying. Even in some of the arcs back then, he was taking on tuning level characters even while he was an academy student. And now I think we're finally getting to see that Boruto again in this episode right here. Boruto came up with multiple very good ideas and very good plans. Started herself, almost died trying to jump in and save Boruto, but one of the smartest things I've seen Boruto do in a very long time, he put the scientific technology on a clone because he understood that I would probably know that the original will most likely have that, and just the planning ahead that Boruto had was absolutely phenomenal. And throughout this episode, one of the most impressive things that I did see from Boruto is how quickly he can manifest the Rasengan. When we talk about Boruto, we always have to compare and contrast Boruto to Naruto and how he learned things. Throughout the whole Naruto series, he really couldn't make a Rasengan without using shadow clones, and we see how impactful it is for Boruto to just manifest Rasengans out of thin air. That right there is what dealt the final blow to Ao. Now, I'm not saying that Naruto in this particular situation could not have done something like that in regards to the Rasengan, but realistically speaking, it would have been a lot more inefficient, because then Naruto would have to create a shadow clone and then formulate the Rasengan, and then that right there would give Ao a lot of time just to counteract or potentially even move out of the way of the Rasengan. Boruto in this particular situation just automatically summoned the Rasengan and just completely destroyed Ao. Not only that, what also set Boruto apart from Naruto was, of course, the planning, putting hidden messages inside of other hidden messages. This episode right here, just for me, put Boruto on that level that I did feel that Boruto was on back when he was an academy student, acing tests and taking on tunings like it was nothing. Now, the biggest problem that I did have with Boruto in this episode, It has to be Boruto's killer instinct. Here's the thing. I think not killing Ao was a very smart move, but it wasn't for the reason that Boruto thought it was for. For example, I thought that Boruto should try to keep Ao alive just because they'd be able to interrogate Ao and get a lot more information about the Kata organization than they do have as of right now. But Boruto, his lack of killer instinct, he basically thought that Ao should live because he doesn't necessarily feel like his shinobi powers would be suited to actually take down a character who can't actually move. That makes absolutely no sense. I think that Boruto's lack of killer instinct is probably going to come back and bite him in the butt later on. Now I understand that Naruto's lack of killer instinct didn't necessarily prove to be anything too crazy, but I think that Boruto, just for the sake of entertainment, and not only that, also for the sake of the audience not necessarily learning a repetitive message that you have to have a killer instinct to actually be a very good ninja, it would suit us very well for Boruto to just quickly learn that killer instinct. And even Ao told Boruto in this episode right here, that lack of killer instinct is probably going to cost you your life. And especially in a situation like this, I mean, Boruto had absolutely no idea if Ao had some sort of secret compartment made of scientific ninja tech that could have just shot something out of Boruto that was filled with ninja poison that could have actually killed Boruto. Like, literally, could you imagine Boruto taking down Sasori and feeling like, hey, Sasori should be able to live, like I'm not necessarily going to really kill Sasori? That right there would make absolutely no sense. Ao himself, he was kind of confused in his heart. He didn't necessarily know if he wanted to go through with the plan or not. I feel like that's one of the reasons why Boruto didn't actually die. But I think in the future, when he is fighting very, very strong opponents, he has to be 100% committed and have that killer instinct. Now, at the end of the episode, Kashin Koji actually arrives. Now, hypothetically, before we even get to the aura of Kashin Koji arriving and what that potentially means in the future of the series in the next episode, let's say hypothetically Kashin Koji arrives, saves Ao, and then both of them just kills Team 7. Boruto would then feel horrible because he didn't kill Ao when he had the chance. Now, getting to the overall aura of Kashin Koji, this right here is going to be an absolutely amazing thing. And of course, the theories of Kashin Koji possibly being Jiraiya, manga-wise, took very, very huge steam at this particular point, mainly because Kashin Koji actually summoned a toad. And of course, everybody knows that Jiraiya loved summoning toads, and he's pretty much a toad sage. Now, here's the thing. It's looking very, very dim for Team 7. Like, let's just take Kashin Koji out of the picture. Let's say Deepa pulled up, 100% healthy Deepa pulled up. It would still look very, very dim for Team 7. To be honest, I might have my money on Deepa wiping out all Team 7 if he did actually pull up. Now we have a new member of the Kata organization, and inside of the Kata organization, potentially being even stronger than Deepa. Now I do want to make a separate video talking about the next episode, because I do want to preview that Boruto is going to be activating his Karma Seal. We've seen that in the preview, and of course, if we do know anything about the Karma Seal, it should actually give Boruto a boost. So hopefully that helps Boruto and Team 7 actually overcome Kashin Koji. But as far as if I think that Kashin Koji would actually die in the next episode, and I thought this even the first time that I seen it in the Boruto manga, absolutely not. Kashin Koji just seems to be the type of character that's going to be very huge in the whole series. But let me know what you guys think about this episode in the comment section below. It's me and boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.